Hello, good evening. Happy Tuesday to you all. Welcome to Live with Gotham. I am Allison and I am by myself today. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback over here on our second camera. So let me just turn that all the way down. But hello and welcome. We've got a very exciting show for you today. It's going to be small. And you'll see why I say that in just a little bit here, because we've got a small collection of fabric for you, and we've got a small project, but that doesn't mean it's not mighty. So you might have gathered from the social media or from our title, our description here, that we are talking all about Tula Pink's Prince Charming Deja Vu release. So if you are not familiar, Tula Pink, wildly popular designer now, but maybe in the early days, maybe in the first couple of collections, people hadn't seen her or found out about her quite then. And so, what she's doing is revisiting some of her older collections. And this one is a fabulous one. This is her second collection. This is called Prince Charming that she's revisiting. And that is all the way back from 2011. So, Tula's second collection ever. And we get to see the revisitation of it. The Deja Vu line she's done, this is the fourth one so far, but she's revisiting previous collections to give people a chance to enjoy them. Um, and maybe even to add to this. So the Prince Charming Deja Vu is lovely because it adds an additional colorway. So if you already have that fabric, this is going to be something new for you. If you didn't get that fabric, this is going to be a great opportunity to get in on the just adorable design. This one is a very cute one. And I will say we've had a couple of the Deja Vu collections in the Tiny Apple shop, and both of them flew off the shelves. Just absolutely flew off the shelves. We could not order and reorder fast enough before they, kind of went to the way of retirement. So this one, I think we're going to learn from our lesson. We are going to learn from all of you to see if this is something that you like, if you think it's as adorable and lovely as we do. We just want to make sure that we've got plenty to show you. So as I go ahead and show the fabric, I've got images of the fabric, but it should give you a pretty good idea. I'll go through and I'll tell you a little bit more here. So let's go ahead and share over here. Now, I will say that this fabric is shipping to us. The expected shipping date is going to be July of 2026. So, as far as fabric goes, that's pretty standard for how far in advance we need to order it. Usually about 6 to 8 months, give or take. For example, Christmas fabric, it feels like we were already buying our Christmas fabric before Christmas of 2025 had even ended. So this is pretty par for the course for quilt shops to buy that far in advance, which is why pre-sales, especially for something like this, a collection that we really expect to go well, it's why pre-sales are so helpful. It helps us know how much you'll want so that we can order the correct amount before it is retired. So this collection of the actual fabric, the quilting cotton of it, is only 8 pieces. There's only 8 different fabrics in here, but not to worry, you can still make something fabulous. As I had mentioned, the Tula Pink has done a couple of the Deja Vus, and what she announced recently, maybe last week or this week, is that these Deja Vu collections are being designed with the intention of being used together if you care to. So if you remember, the last one was Tabby Road Deja Vu. It really leaned very heavily into these pinks, almost this very light magenta, we'll call it. And they have a lot of colors in common, so they will be able to be used all together, the Deja Vus. In addition, as I mentioned before, this particular one, Prince Charming, if you have the Prince Charming from before, from 2011, and you haven't used it yet, this Deja Vu collection is designed to be used in conjunction with that. So if anybody's collecting the Deja Vus, I can't think of a better way to use all those up than use them all in one quilt, to have maybe a block for each release. That might be kind of cool. So, like I said, there are 8 collections, and this guy right here with the frogs is the hero print. And this is going to be in that magenta color. It is called Bubblegum, along with these very adorable mint aqua frogs. And you can see here they are the perfect size for fussy cutting. There's a lot in there to cut around. And you'll see a little nod to some of the other design elements that are in Tula's Deja Vu collections in this rainbow right here with this little flourish. You've got a little nod to the rainbow there. We have the dandelion print, which is so very adorable, and it's bringing in elements of the other print. If I bet you could see my little cursor there, there are some of these little elements that are going to be in some of the other fabrics as well. Looks very cute. Next here we have the snails. I'm so sorry, I forgot what they were called. And if you look very closely, I'm going to look at this kind of red orange one here. We've got the snail head, the snail body, and the snail tail over there. And then over to the right here, we have the toile print. Now, this one is going to be a little hard to see. It's got a very large scale print, but also some smaller things that are absolutely lovely. So let's take a look at this one for just a second. You can see over here, we've got the turtle head. And if we go a little bit to the right here, you'll see a turtle body. So this one just carries over. There'll be a head on the print here. And then if you look big, macro, you see the turtles, and on their backs, we've got a little scene. And you can see they're just kind of like hanging out at the park. We've got a bicycle and a woman on a swing, and then a catching the butterflies. And again, here's the nod to the rainbow. And let's see, we do have, so Raquella asked, I assume you'll have the yardage and not just the bundle. You better believe it, Raquella. We are going to have all of the fabric. And with this collection, I'll kind of spoil the lead here. There are 2 different no, I'm so sorry. There's 3 different minkies. So like a cuddle, it's got a little bit of a nap to it. The minky has just a shorter nap than cuddle. So cuddle is a brand name, kind of like Kleenexes to tissue, but it's really a great way to back the quilts. And so we've got or we will have when it ships, all 3 of those cuddles as well, or those minkies as well. Now pay attention down here because we've got some blenders that go along with it. A lot of these are from the Tula Pink True Colors 2025, so the newest versions of those True Colors that just came out. Some of them are going a little back. We've got the, I think this is called Mineral, and we've got some of the tiny stripes, which I think are just a perfect complement to just about everything. But there are some coordinating fabrics here. Because this collection is only 8 fabrics long, wide, deep, I guess, we have put together a bundle that adds some of these blenders in with it as well. So if you're looking to make something with this, these are such a great addition. And when I show you the bundle pictures, you'll see just how nicely those go together. Moving along, we've got the raindrops here in this charcoal background, along with a beautiful coloration of I guess how Tula imagines a rainbow. We have over here the taffy. I told you there were some components of this in some of the other images as well. Here they are all together. On the right here, you might remember the dandelion print. This is just recolored in a darker background. And then those fabulous hexes that Tula is famous for over here. So that brings you, those big images are the 8, that's the entire collection. And then here, down here is a second round of blenders. So all said and done, we've got a collection that is 8 fabrics. And then we've got, and when you add in the blenders, you've got 20. And so all of these are available for pre-order. You can either scan or click on the QR code there, and that'll bring you directly to the Gotham website where you can pre-order those particular fabrics in whatever quantities you need if you're looking for yardage or if you're looking for bundles. We've got 3 different options there. We've got a half yard bundle, We've got a fat quarter bundle, and then we've got our apple peels. So if you remember, apple peels are going to be 6 inches. It's going to be a strip of fabric, 6 inches by the entire width of fabric. So kind of like a big fat jelly roll, a little bit. But we'll have all of those available for pre-sale on the website. And like I say, pre-sale is a great way to make sure that you get in that first round. We usually get to do two different, we'll get two different cracks at the, I guess, bites at the apple. I was trying to mix my metaphors there. But we generally get two rounds of ordering, and then by then the fabric is gone, and we don't get any more. Now, one of the things that Tula, I would say, is infamous for is providing large scale prints that are just absolutely fabulous for fussy cutting and foundation paper piecing. So there are plenty of tutorials out there, but what I thought I would do is go ahead and just walk through some options for such a thing, for foundation paper piecing. Now, on the Gotham website, we do have a pattern and the pattern for a foundation paper piecing. So this is what it looks like when you print it off. Now let's talk about a couple of things about foundation paper piecing. There is a much more in-depth tutorial on the Gotham YouTube channel, and I'll go ahead and pin that here for this particular video. I'm not intending to go through a lot of detail, but if it is something that you want, just let me know and I'm happy to do so. But I'm going to show you two different things. I told you it was a small collection and a small project. I'll get to the small project in just a second. But here we've got what you might want to do with a larger print. So that frog, if you remember, an economy block is a fabulous way to show that off. And what I love about foundation paper piecing an economy block is that you can get very precise with your middle print, which is a little bit harder to do if you're just doing regular traditional piecing. And so you can see, because I foundation paper piece this economy block, I was able to line up that flower exactly as I wanted it to. So if you do have some fabric like Tula, anything with a beautiful image that you want to make sure is perfectly center and looking lovely, a foundation paper pieced economy block is a great way to go. Now, one thing about this is this size happened to work out for this particular flower. But if you are making your own project, if you're going your own way and you have a specific middle size that you want to get to, did you know that you can just enlarge foundation paper piecing pages? As long as you're enlarging all of the pages in your project, boy, the P words are hard for me today, but as long as you're enlarging all of the foundation papers at the same rate, and be sure to use this little sizing scale to help you out to make sure that that's done, you can make this any size you want. So for example, I have this right now where the inside is about 3 inches square. If I had a piece of Tula fabric, for example, where the image was 6 inches square, I could just enlarge this so that my middle square was 6 inches. And as long as I did that with all of the pieces that I pieced, I'd be just fine. It would fit together quite lovely. So that's another great tip about foundation paper piecing, is you can make it the size you want. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that if you're familiar with like legit kits or something like that, where the pieces are very intricate and they're designed to go together. Definitely check that out before. I wouldn't just go ahead and start enlarging all the pages. But for something like an economy block that's quite simple, where all of my blocks are going together, it works just wonderfully. So now let's talk a little bit about the papers that you would use for foundation paper piecing. This one you can see I printed it out. It's actually what I used for this guy right here. You can see the back there. I haven't taken my paper out yet, but newsprint is a great option. The reason why is because it's really quite inexpensive when you're looking at all the other options. It's even a little less expensive than copy paper, depending on where you find it, but in most cases it's a little less expensive. It's a lot thinner than copy paper, and so it sews through like a dream, and it tears off really quite nicely. There are some other options as well. This is another one that I like, and I will, you know what I'll do is I will put the package there so you can see what it looks like. But this one is, you can see how see-through it is. This is lovely. This is the June Taylor transparent foundation piecing sheets. And so I'm a little close here, so I'll move this down so you can see what it looks like. But this is a really lovely feel. It feels almost like a thin interfacing, which brings me to my next point, why this is really nice. If you're making something where you don't need to tear the paper out, so a pillow, for example, is a great example. A wall hanging where maybe that little bit of stability, that little bit of interfacing is even better. These are lovely because they do not have to come out of your project. It behaves an awful lot like interfacing, and so that could be a benefit depending on what you're making. And then one last option that I have actually an example of is, I'll get this guy out of the way here. And this might not look like much, but this here is freezer paper. That is another fabulous option for foundation paper piecing, is to use freezer paper. And the reason you might want to use that is because then you're not actually sewing through the paper. You're sewing right next to it. And you're using that freezer paper, that little bit of wax that's on the back of the freezer paper, to help stick to your fabric. So here I have a partially completed economy block. You can see I put the first piece in and I did the first round, and now I'm working on my second round. So how the freezer paper works is a little bit different than traditional foundation paper piecing, in that I am not going to sew through this. What I am going to do is, when I'm ready to go to the next one, so I think I'm on 6 here. I think that's a 6. What I'm going to do is use my add an eighth, add a quarter ruler, and I'm going to use the thin edge here. And I'm going to put that right on the line here, and I'm going to fold that up. And you can see when I did that, it came away from the paper. That was adhered, I would say very lightly adhered, because I had used my iron to press that. I'll fold that down. And then all I have to do is, whoopsie, I would probably take a second, because this is a little bit of a large seam allowance. I'd probably take my rotary and trim that right here. But for our purposes, let's pretend that I already did that. And then I would add my next piece onto it. So I would do just like traditional paper piecing, in that I would, on my trimmed edge, I would line those up, and then I would sew. But again, I would keep this folded back. Instead of sewing right through my paper, I would sew right next to it. So I have my stitching line that's right next to this foundation paper. And then all I would do is, once I get that done, I would put that back, and then I would have, oops, my triangle's flipped. I would have my triangle just like that. And so foundation paper piecing using freezer paper is a great way, because, and I guess I won't necessarily finish this, but I can show you, if I were done with this, all I have to do is take this, and you can see there's a little bit of stick, but not a whole ton, just enough to get my sewing done. And I just take it off like that. No tearing paper out, no using tweezers to get it out. It's just really very lovely, and it comes off quite nicely. And then, assuming there's enough stick in here and I don't have too many threads or icky bits, I can reuse this page as many times as it sticks, and as many times as it stays nice. The only other thing with this one is, instead of sewing directly on the line like you would for this piece here, where it's really easy to see on the line, you're relying on having it folded and then sewing next to it, which sometimes is not quite as accurate, which might defeat the purpose a little bit. But depending on how accurate of a sewer you are, or how how much you care about things like that, how I guess how often the quilt police visit your house. That's a really nice way to go too. So this economy block by using foundation paper piecing is a great way for a big project. What about a small one? I promised you a small one too. Well, I figured, oops, I had all of my pieces and then I just kind of threw. Oh, one other thing that you might say is, well, where do I find freezer paper? There's a couple of different options. The one that I used in this one was just freezer paper from the grocery store. You pick it up out of the bag in the wrap aisle and cut it down to size and run it through your printer. There is already pre-cut freezer paper, and it looks something like this. This is Kim Deal's. It's mostly for, here, we'll move. Nope. I thought I could bend it. This is mostly used for applique, but it also works really well for foundation paper piecing. This one is not recommended that you run through your laser printer or a laser copier. I don't think they recommend you run a regular from the grocery store freezer paper through your laser printer either, just because you've got that waxy thing and it's probably going to get stuck in the gears. But at your own peril, if you have a printer you don't care about very much, like I did, it worked out just fine. So let's talk about something a little bit smaller, and that is these adorable little mini makes. There are a handful of different kinds, but I'll show you this one here. These ones are so adorable, and I will tell you what, it is probably the most fun foundation paper piecing I have done in a while. It is quite tiny. It's so tiny that I have even lost my sample. It's that tiny. I had it here just a second ago. Oh, there it is. It was underneath my foundation paper piecing. Okay, so this is what it actually looks like. And each one of these little kits is going to make a piece of jewelry. This is going to be a brooch. We've got this one that makes a pair of earrings. This one is another pin. But you piece the inside here and then glue it inside. How skinny is that? Look at that. It's amazing. And then you just glue it inside your jewelry. Put your pin back on, and there you go. You've got a piece of wearable art. Now, do not be intimidated by this. I promise it is small, but it is just like foundation paper piecing. There's really nothing else to it. I can give you 2 pieces of advice for this one. And that one is, you only need tiny, tiny pieces of fabric here. So make it count. Make sure it's the fabric that you really love. And the other one is right here. That is 80 weight thread, and it made all of the difference for getting super flat seams for a piece here. I'm going to give you one extra bonus tip here, and that is, if you don't use a hot iron in between each piece here. So if you don't generally use an iron when you're foundation paper piecing in between, if you use something like this, for this project, I would definitely make the switch to use an iron, a hot, dry iron. It's got to be a dry iron in between each step. So you sew one piece down, press it with an iron, sew the next piece down, press it with an iron. This just doesn't get it flat enough. If you're used to this, it's a lot of times it's the seam roller, so that you don't have to get up and go to the iron. Just bring the iron to you. So a hot dry iron, 80 weight thread. I use this in both the top and the bobbin. Since this is not really going anywhere, it's going to be stuck inside this jewelry. It's going to have some protection, and then you don't have to worry about the strength necessarily. And then pick the fabric that you love the most for this guy. So we've got a couple of those. This is bringing us to the next little bit of information here, and that is we are happily porting products over to the Gotham website. So we've got the mini makes, we've got some mini foundation paper piecing Patterns by Allison Glass and Juicy Juice. We've got all of the things I talked about today. So if you need an add an eighth ruler, add a quarter ruler, anything related to foundation paper piecing, it's all going to be over at the Gotham website, in addition to the pre-order for the Tula Pink Deja Vu. So just a special hello and shout out to Carol Mertens from Bemidji. Hello and welcome to the Gotham Live. And hi, Lisa from Oak Grove. We're getting our Minnesota fam on the Gotham side. So with that, pre-orders for the Tula Pink Prince Charming they're going to be open for a while. I'm going to say probably like a month, maybe a little bit longer than a month. After that, we're going to have to put in our order. And at that point, the people who pre-ordered, they're locked in and they're good to go. Anyone else might have to wait for round 2 or take what we've got. But we've got pre-cut bundles for order, yardage, the Minky, all the things you could possibly want there. So with that, I think we'll go into the housekeeping things. Just a reminder that Color for Quilters is starting on Thursday. So if you've registered for that, thank you. We can't wait to see you on Thursday. You'll be getting an invite tonight or tomorrow morning, just a little reminder to say, make sure you join the first session here. If you didn't get the opportunity to sign up for Color for Quilters, not to worry. We had a lot of interest in here, so we are going to re-offer it this summer. So we'll have another sign up starting in May-ish. We also had, let's see here. We had fabulous fun this past weekend for the Lucky Break mini mystery. If you participated in that, or even if you didn't, head over to our Facebook group. The clues are still up there. You can still participate. I can say now it's a table runner. It is very cute and very fun to make. So head on over there and you can get the clues, or you can get yourself ready for the next mystery, which would be a lot of fun too. And that one is going to start in a month, a little bit less than that. Sign up is still open for Stitch Lab. This month for Stitch Lab, it is ephemera, which is my favorite new word that I learned from the fabric designer Tim Holtz. And ephemera, I think, is just like little bits and bobs, just different things. The idea for this originally started out with junk journaling, which is kind of a big fun thing now, where people take little bits of fabric or receipts or ticket stubs and put them in a book just for memory's sake. And so we were channeling a very fabric forward version of that. We'll say the little gifties that go along with this are going out this week. So if you haven't yet registered for Stitch Lab, if you've got it on your list to do, ephemera might not be a bad one, because that could be really whatever you need it to do, whatever you need it to be. Let's see here. And I think that's, the last one. I'm going to give a shout out to our collage quilting virtual retreat. We do have another longer video on that, talking all about the collage quilting virtual retreat. This one you can enjoy from the convenience and privacy of your own home. It's a weekend full of collage quilting, different methods, different projects to do, and it's a great way to have community and maybe learn something new or improve your skills on collage quilting. There are training videos and lessons that go along with that you'll have access to throughout your journey with Gotham here. It's not just the weekend that you will have access to that. So with that, don't forget to sign up for the collage quilting virtual retreat, which actually is in March, which is coming up here, the weekend of March 20th. So we'd love to see you there, and we'd love to see you at the next sign up for Color for Quilters. We're doing great things over at Gotham, lots of fun things. So with that, I think we've got all of the questions answered here. With that, I thank you so much for joining us, and we will be here next Tuesday. I cannot wait. I'm going to spill the beans a little bit. Give you a little spoiler. I can't wait to show you next week's fabric collection. It is a great one with a great story, and also it is the most luscious feeling fabric I think I've felt in a long time. So very excited to bring that to you. That is next Tuesday, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I usually say same bat time, same bat channel, and I didn't this time, but I guess I did at the end. So please do check out the Gotham website. Check back often. We are loading products as I guess time permits, but sometimes the computer system is the bottleneck there. So do check it out often. Otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday, if not before, and I really hope before.